You've definitely seen the ads, right? Lightning fast web hosting for just $2.99 a month. It sounds impossible. So today we're going to find out if it's a brilliant innovation or just some really clever marketing. So what is the secret here? Is there some hidden catch, a huge breakthrough in technology that nobody else has? Or is it just a razor-sharp business model? Let's dig in and investigate.
For years, forever, the choice in web hosting has been this super frustrating trade-off. You had to pick one. You could have it fast, or you can have it cheap. Hostinger just waltzes in and claims you can have both. So let's see if that claim actually holds up. So how do they actually pull off the fast part of that promise? Well, the answer isn't some single silver bullet, but really a stack of really smart technology choices. All right, let's get into the tech. The real secret to hosting your speed, it all begins with one fundamental decision they made about their core architecture. See, for the longest time, most shared hosting relied on something called Apache. And look, it's a solid workhorse for sure, but it has this big weakness. It can get totally overwhelmed by traffic spikes, and that's what causes your site to slow to a crawl or even go offline completely. Hostinger, though, they chose a totally different path. LiteSpeed. Its modern, event-driven architecture is just built from the ground up to handle thousands of visitors all at once without even breaking a sweat.
Here's a really simple way to think about it. Apache is like a chaotic restaurant that needs a brand new waiter for every single table that sits down. LiteSpeed, on the other hand, is like one super efficient waiter who can handle the entire room flawlessly. It's just a smarter way to work. But that's not all. The second piece of this performance puzzle is their storage. They use these things called NVMe drives, which are basically like a direct superhighway for your data. We're talking up to 5 times faster than the SSDs a lot of competitors are still using. This is what makes your website's backend feel so incredibly responsive.
And what's the result of all this tech? Well, you get this. An average server response time that doesn't just beat other budget hosts, it's squarely competing with the premium providers, all at a fraction of the cost. So yeah, the speed is definitely real.
Okay, so we've established how it's fast, but that only deepens the other half of the mystery, right? How can it possibly be so cheap? Well, that's where the business model comes in. This is the number that makes everyone do a double take. $2.99 a month. It just feels like there has to be a catch, and in a way, there is, but it's probably not what you think.
See, it's not a bait and switch, but it does demand a long-term commitment. And understanding this one detail is the absolute key to deciding if Hostinger is actually the right choice for you.
That $2.99 price is an introductory offer, and it's only available if you prepay for 4 years. 4. When that term is up, the renewal rate jumps, and as you can see, it often jumps to 2 or even 3 times the initial price. Now, this isn't just some pricing trick. It's an incredibly powerful business model that's kind of disrupting the whole industry. By locking you in for 4 years, they solve the single biggest problem for hosting companies, which is customer churn. They get a huge injection of cash up front that they can then reinvest in better tech, and their cost to get you as a customer is spread over 48 months, not just one. It's a win-win, really, but only if you're ready for that initial commitment.
So here's the real bottom line on cost. Even when you factor in that higher renewal rate for the 5th year, the total amount you spend is still a total bargain. We're talking less than half of what you'd pay at Bluehost and just a tiny fraction of the cost of SiteGround over that same period. It's a huge difference. But here's the thing. This incredible value proposition, it can look very different depending on where you are in the world. The tech and the pricing might be global, but the user experience is always local. So let's take a quick look at a case study from Kenya to see how this plays out in practice. So despite its global ambitions, Hostinger has a major blind spot. No physical data centers anywhere on the African continent. For a growing business in a place like Kenya, this creates 2 very specific and pretty significant problems.
First, latency. With the nearest servers all the way in Europe, data has a long way to travel. That adds a delay of over 150 milliseconds, which can be a deal breaker for a lot of applications. Second, payments. Hostinger doesn't directly accept M-Pesa, which is basically the lifeblood of the entire Kenyan economy. Fortunately, there is a pretty straightforward solution. M-Pesa's Global Pay feature lets you generate a temporary virtual Visa card. Now, the key here is to use that card to pay for the full 48-month term in one single shot. That way, you totally bypass any future issues with recurring international payments. It's a neat little workaround.
So, after looking at the tech, the business model, and the real-world limitations, what's the final verdict? Who is Hostinger really for, and who should probably steer clear? It really just boils down to this. If you're building a site, especially with WordPress, and you're just looking for unbeatable long-term value, Hostinger is an excellent choice. But if you need hosting for a short-term project or your business absolutely requires instant phone support, you should probably look somewhere else.
Our source material really puts it best, calling Hostinger the Toyota Camry of web hosting. Think about it. It's reliable, it's modern, it's an exceptional value, but it's all provided you are willing to drive it for the long haul. I love that analogy.
Which brings us right back to the central question. You know the story now. You know the trade-offs. So for you, does the incredible performance for price outweigh the 4-year commitment? The choice is yours.